Okay, in today's video, I'm going to show you how I voice prompt an entire blog. And in fact, I could probably create like an entire 30 days worth of content, just voice prompting. And I'm going to use the following tools. First things first is you're going to notice I have my Google Doc out. And then the second thing, I am going to be writing a blog that says how to transition to cybersecurity with zero experience in 2026, right? And then after I'm done with this Google Doc, what I'm going to go ahead and do next is I'm going to go to Claude and I'm going to show you exactly how I take raw prompt notes and I'm going to transition that into an actual full-fledged SEO optimized blog. This is basically showing you guys how I do it from 0 to 1, no holds bar, not holding anything back. And then from there, you guys can go ahead and hopefully take this and do this yourself. So the first blog that we're going to go ahead and drop today, I'm going to be dropping a series, is going to be how to transition to cybersecurity with zero experience. This is actually a very searched title on Google. So we are going to optimize this for two things. We're going to optimize this for search engine optimization and generative engine optimization, GEO as well. So the first thing that we need to do is we actually need to get our blog out. So let's go ahead and let's begin. All right, so I'm going to take this and I'm going to have a little bit of an outline. So let's do it. How to transition to cybersecurity with zero experience in 2026. Before you decide whether or not you're going to need the help of a bootcamp or a coach or a program to help you make this transition, as a cybersecurity beginner with zero technical experience, there are a few things that you should consider that before you go ahead and make this transition. The three biggest blockers or that's stopping you from transitioning over to cybersecurity right now are the following. Number one is you need to go ahead and get your CompTIA Security Plus certification. You can see here it does that. The second thing that you need to do is you need to actually have the on-the-job skills. The third thing that you're going to need is to be able to actually go from having the on-the-job skills and the certification to actually landing the job. These are three separate challenges, but they're all intertwined. In addition to providing you with the strategies of what you need to successfully overcome each challenge that's blocking you from landing the job, I'm also going to be providing you with some solutions where you can take immediate action either on your own or either by enrolling in our program. First things first, before we even go ahead and tackle each and every one of these challenges, let's go ahead and actually talk about our game plan. Attacking each and every one of these challenges all at the same time is probably not wise because any one of these challenges is going to consume a good part of your week, regardless if you can dedicate your entire work week doing this because you currently don't have a job, or it's probably more true if you are currently employed right now and you can only dedicate times outside of your working hours to make this transition. So before we can even talk about how to succeed in each challenge, let's go ahead and actually create a priorities list of which challenge we are going to knock out first, then second, then third. Easy, right? It's pretty fun. The first challenge we're going to take out of the picture is going to be your CompTIA Security Plus certification, because without your certification, you really cannot enroll in jobs. You cannot apply to jobs, which is your challenge number one. The on the skills job is actually not as difficult to develop because there's plenty of people that actually can learn the job, even on the job, but you're going to need to go ahead and get your certification in order if you want to go ahead and apply. Come on, Genspark. There's a live demo right here too. I would say Genspark versus Whisperflow. They both are not. They're both very accurate, but they're not like you see here. They're not like very consistent in terms of like. But they still add like a tremendous amount of value. But you see this right here. It's just fucking up the flow, right? I'm going to show you guys right now. See? It's like it's thinking, it's thinking, it's thinking, it's thinking, it's thinking. But I also like I would consider myself a power user. Like I put up a mad number of words. See, so it's like thinking, 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 thinking. See, and they even gave up. So now we got to go ahead and do this shit all over again, right? So before we can even talk about how to succeed in each challenge, let's create a priorities list. The first blocker that you should go ahead and get out of the way is actually completing your CompTIA Security Plus certification, then developing the on-the-job skills, and then going out there and actually doing the job hunt. The reason for this is actually very clear, and in our program, this is actually what we focus on first, rather than our competitor programs, where they focus on CompTIA Security Plus certification actually at the very end of the curriculum, or they don't focus on it at all. And you see it's back. You know, but these are all challenges that like Genspark's probably going to go out there and fix, and Whisperflow's actually going to go out there and fix sooner or later. It's still doing a better job than fucking Siri. And all you really need are about 30 days, in which we also are going to cover in a separate blog how to go ahead and pass the CompTIA Security Plus on your own in the next 30 days. Second challenge that we're going to go ahead and take out of the way is actually developing the on-the-job skills. And how we're going to do that is we are going to demo actual on-the-job skills throughout the interview and actually on a YouTube channel. Third, let's go ahead and actually talk about the job hunting process afterwards. See, job hunting is a JavaScript, right? But it'll pick it up. And then now I'm just going to go ahead and start a new page. And I'm just going to go ahead and say this. Here's what people need to understand about passing the CompTIA Security Plus. The exam is timed, and there's a set number of questions, and you also have a set time limit to go ahead and pass. The reason for this is actually very simple. The exam itself was designed for you to fail. The exam was designed for you to fail because they make money as a test center off of you scheduling and paying for your exams. And the more times you actually have to pay to take the exam, the more money they're making as a test center. You can go ahead and fact check this statistic, but on average, there's a 61% first time pass rate. That means your chances of actually passing on your first time is a little bit better than a coin toss. But we got you covered. We already have a list of all of the questions, as you can go ahead and see here. We have more than 1,000 practice exam questions straight from CompTIA themselves. See, it works until it doesn't, right? We have the responses for it. We have the multiple choice responses that they will provide to trick you. In addition, we also have the right answer, and we also have an explanation as to why the right answer is the right answer, as well as why the wrong answers are the wrong answers. You can effectively think about passing the CompTIA exam as a gigantic multiple choice exam. In fact, in our program, we actually issue out the practice exam and simulate an authentic test-taking environment just to make sure that you guys are going to go ahead and pass on the first round. When you study for the questions, when you study for the skills first and all of the theory, and then you take the exam, the chances of you failing is almost inevitable. Because even if you knew all of the material, if you don't understand how they're going to ask you, exactly what types of questions they're going to ask you, and you don't understand exactly the types of responses that you're going to be they're going to provide for you to trick you, then it's going to be pretty easy for you to fail. The timed element also adds in more of an added, also induces like an additional layer of stress, because you feel like if you don't pass, you just wasted all this money, not to mention you took off probably half a day to a day of work and you spent all this time studying. This is a horrible feeling, and this is also why there's almost a 99% retest rate, because even for the people that fail, because they've come this far, they're going to go ahead and try to pass it again. So the first thing that you want to go ahead and do is you want to pass the exam first. You can access our do-it-yourself test-taking kit here. We have provided you with all the vocabulary words. In addition, we have provided you with all of the practice exam questions. And on top of that, we have also provided you with all of the yeah, that's all actually. I don't know, I blanked out. Okay. Here are a few hot tips for people to go ahead and actually use to, a few hot tips for you to go ahead and pass the exam in the next 30 days. Upload all of the vocabulary words into a flashcard app if you want, or you can go ahead and use ours. There are about 1,000 vocabulary words for you to go ahead and learn, but don't stress out about it, because if you've ever had a direct interaction with internet or Wi-Fi before, you know about a third of them. If you spend every single day drilling about 100 words a day, in 10 days you will know, like the back of your hand, all of the vocabulary words that you need to pass the cybersecurity exam. Get them on your phone and just play with it. Get all the vocabulary words and the definitions on your phone and play with it in between breaks, while you have some free time, while you're lying down and relaxing, and you'll just be fine. Holy moly, I've never seen this before. It's just spinning. Get all the vocabulary words onto a mobile flashcard app, or use ours, as you can see here. And you will, within 10 days to, honestly speaking, probably 12 days max, you will know all the vocabulary words. You can always navigate your way out of the exam if you know the definition of the vocabulary that's being used on the exam. The next thing here is actually knowing the questions and the answers. We have already broken up, as you can see, all of the different sections of the questions based upon the chapters for the CompTIA certification. That's crazy. It's thinking because, like, you want to know why? I didn't even add anything into it. Perfect. Okay. So, what was I going to say? Next thing is actually knowing. Okay. So, focus on passing just a few sections a day, and then you'll be fine. Lastly, what you want to go ahead and do, either with us or on your own, is to actually time yourself to see if you can pass within the assigned time. The time requirements, just like the fees, including how many questions you need to answer, are constantly changing, and it can be different depending on the location that you take your exam. But generally speaking, if you actually operate on a timer, it would simulate a very realistic scenario on how you're going to take these exams. Here is also one more hot tip. There is an option to take these exams by having a proctor at home. We advise that you take it at the physical location, because if they feel like you're cheating, or if they feel that if the proctor from the test center feels that you may be cheating, or if your Wi-Fi goes out, or for whatever reason you're just going to lose out on your fee and you're going to have to retake the exam all over again, you might as well just go ahead and take it at the actual exam center. Another hot tip is you should not schedule your exam unless you're absolutely ready. We actually have our students take it at least 3 times before scheduling the real exam, while our competitors more often than not, just tell people to put a date on their calendar or they're not going to do it, and that's actually why they have such a high first-time fail rate. Next off is actually learning the on-the-job skills. Here's where there's a huge misconception between theory and practical application, and how we can help you solve these problems. What you have to demonstrate to companies is a familiarity with cybersecurity tools and cybersecurity practices. The best thing for you to do is to develop a YouTube channel where you're actually demonstrating these skills. Here are a list of side projects that you can go ahead and take on. I recorded these videos already beforehand. And they are more than sufficient to helping you pass the interview. At the same time, we do provide hands-on experience as part of our remote curriculum, which you can access anywhere. The third and final challenge that you want to go ahead and which brings us here in the first place, is actually landing your first cybersecurity job. One of the questions that we are going to go ahead and that we do get a lot here is it possible to secure internships? And the answer is yes. There is such a shortage in the industry right now of cybersecurity beginners entering the space that a lot of companies do provide paid internships or even unpaid internships, but you have to be at least more than 60 to 70% completed on the actual CompTIA curriculum. Beyond that, you also have to go ahead and pass the baseline interview process because they actually have to know that you have some of the foundations before they just bring you on. Either way, the best and the fastest way to go ahead and actually secure work is to actually be applying aggressively, but also be working with a credible program that can provide you with hiring referrals. But you have to have your portfolio done. And this is actually where one of the biggest myths and misconceptions comes in, is that the certification itself is insufficient to go ahead and just get you a job. So this actually brings us into a completely different blog, but people often ask, is the CompTIA Security Plus certification enough? This question in itself really opens up another door, or is operating under the assumption that this certification isn't enough, which means you need more certifications. You don't need more certifications, you need more portfolio projects. At the end of the day, certification just means you can pass an exam. Portfolio projects means you can actually do certain aspects of the job, and that is actually more relevant to a hiring team. All of which are important, but you have to look at your career transition process through the lens of a matrix. They're going to want to go ahead and see that, number one, you actually do have the certification. Number two, that you do have the portfolio, but also you can interview comfortably, that you have good communication skills. And on top of that, you also have good follow-up skills too. You're going to have to, you can't just be one thing anymore, because this is an extremely competitive industry. So you're going to have to actually be multiple things when companies are looking to you to evaluate whether or not you're somebody they want to bring onto the team. So now I pretty much have my blog, right? And I just need to add one more thing as part of the CTA. You know, as soon as this guy here is done spinning. But I've been at this. Okay, and then we have basically here, please schedule a call with us to see whether or not you're going to be a good fit for our upcoming cohort. Our program at the current time is only $2,500, while our competitors are charging anywhere between $10,000 to $20,000 or more for the same education. As of right now, we could always up that rate later. Okay, boom. So now I have basically my blog, right? You know, but that's actually if I wanted to go out there and actually drop the price like that. Probably not. I don't know, but maybe. Okay. But the next thing that we're going to go ahead and do here is also, now that we have this blog, I can go out there and actually just write like another blog. Now I'm just going to be doing it so much faster, right? So here right now, I'm feeling kind of good. So I'm just going to go out there and write another blog, right? Is the CompTIA Security Plus certification enough to land a job in 2026? And we're just actually going to go ahead and actually answer that question right now. I'm going to take this though, I'm going to log it down on a sticky note, and then say, this is by far one of the most common questions that we receive when people reach out to us. Oh shit. This is one of the questions that people reach out to us asking, or actually, let me go ahead and do it over again. This is how you actually do it fast, because I've been at this now for like 25 minutes, so we want to do it a little bit faster. It's going to just basically be this. I'm going to force myself to get it done in 5 minutes, right? Because you don't really want to voice prompt it like you're actually doing the blog, because Claude is just going to take all this information and make it look beautiful. So the first one I took 25 minutes. I'm going to show you how we do it faster. So this is a question that we hear all the time, which is the CompTIA Security Plus certification enough to land a job in 2026? We understand what your hesitations are, as well as your skepticism, and then also your concern. You have probably scoured the Reddit threads. You have probably watched a bunch of YouTube videos. And you have probably heard from a bunch of influencers on Instagram and TikTok that the certification is not enough. You are about to invest a lot of money to make this transition go from a dream to an actual reality. In addition to all of that, you are getting ready to exert your own time, energy, and effort. You want to go into this transition with all of the information in hand, because the reality is, this is not a small sum of money, and your time is extremely valuable. All the while you are looking for the truth, but it doesn't seem like you're getting any more information beyond people just complaining. So what's the truth? And more importantly, what should your next action steps be to finally make this transition into cybersecurity as a beginner with no experience in 2026, a dream come true? So here's the truth. The CompTIA Security Plus certification alone is not enough to land a job. But that doesn't necessarily mean that the answer is to get more certifications. The answer is that you need more side projects. If you're transitioning into cybersecurity with no prior experience, what you have to demonstrate on the interview and also on your portfolio before they even decide to schedule you for an interview is that you do actually have experience. And it's as easy as just providing them with the portfolio of the most common skills that companies look for in an entry-level cybersecurity analyst. Showing them that you have this level of familiarity. This way, companies don't feel like they're taking a risk on you, or they don't feel like you are a more risky hire than another candidate that they're interviewing. You can go ahead and actually reference some of the YouTube videos below to see some of the following side projects that you can actually build depending on the cybersecurity role that you are targeting. After you have passed your CompTIA Security Plus exam. Which is going to go ahead and bring us to our next blog, which is which role should you target as a cybersecurity beginner in 2026? You can schedule a call with us. If you're finally ready to enroll in our program, at the current time, our rate is $2,500. Meanwhile, our competition is charging $10,000 to $20,000 or more. And we'll work with you all the way until you have secured your first cybersecurity job. So this one here, I did largely like in 5 minutes, right? So I'm telling you, it can go actually a lot faster. And then let's just go ahead and do one more, you know. Are cybersecurity boot camps even worth it anymore? This is by far one of the most searched questions, whether you are looking for the answer to this question on Google, on YouTube, on TikTok, on Instagram, or any other social media platform. The reality is, if you can make this transition without paying $10,000 or $15,000 or $20,000, it would be not wise of you to go ahead and try to not at least explore if you can do it on your own. But the truth is, even the people that did it on their own don't do a really good job of actually explaining how they did it. However, with so many cybersecurity boot camps to choose from, and with all the horror stories and the negative reviews that you've seen about the majority of the cybersecurity boot camps online, it makes you really wonder whether or not it's worth the investment, depending on the what's your return on investment if you decide to go ahead and shell out this fee. We hear you, champs, and this is why for our program at the very time, we're only charging $2,500 instead of actually charging you a ridiculous $10,000, $15,000, or $20,000 rate. But here's what it is that you need to understand going into making a transition with a boot camp. Transitioning over the cybersecurity requires effort and it requires focus. This is not something that you can wiggle waggle. You have to go ahead and actually be locked in. Moreover, there are two additional values that a bootcamp could offer you that doing it on your own, it would be very difficult for you to achieve. For starters, there's no shortage of people that can pass the CompTIA Security Plus or most standard CompTIA exams on their own. There are already enough YouTube videos of people that have successfully passed these exams on their own, but they still don't have a job. And that's just because it's way easier to go out there and pass a multiple choice exam instead of just applying and interviewing for jobs. If you don't have a portfolio and you don't have hiring referrals, it's actually extremely difficult for you to make this transition as an entry-level cybersecurity candidate that had no prior working experience in tech or in cybersecurity or IT. Next, it's extremely difficult for you to put together a portfolio because if you don't know what kind of portfolio companies need or companies want to see, you're not going to be able to convince them to take a chance on you. And that's what you don't want an interview to be, is a company taking a chance on you. Last, it's actually preparing you for the actual interview process and actually doing the mock interviews with you, because this is the problem. Most people feel that just because they have a CompTIA Security Plus exam, a certification, that they pass the exam, that they're entitled to a job. They're not entitled to a job. There was a time when that was the case, but in a market this saturated, having a certification simply isn't enough. You need the portfolio, and you need to know how to present a portfolio. You can't just go out there and vibe code a bunch of nonsense and have a very average looking portfolio and expect to be taken seriously by companies. Because the people that your peers that you are competing with for the same jobs that actually does have a better looking portfolio, they are going to be the ones that are going to be able to convert easier than you do. Lastly, it's the interview process. For a lot of people that are transitioning to cybersecurity for the first time, this is their first real corporate professional job. If you don't have the interview and the communication polished, you will lose out to jobs over and over again to other people. And here's actually the biggest reason why you should consider a bootcamp versus you doing this on your own. The toughest part about making this transition is actually locking in and going through the interview process. And that requires you to apply, that requires you to interview, that requires you to do assignments, and that requires you to follow up with companies that often ghost you or forget about you. Most candidates simply don't have the will to deal with this degree of social rejection, and they always either end up giving up, or before they give up, they go out there and they spend more money on more certifications. Job hunting is a numbers game, and if you don't have a bootcamp to hold you accountable, and you also don't have a cohort or a set of classmates where you're seeing them convert success, the job hunting process becomes extremely lonely, frustrating, and hopeless. Schedule a call to see if you're the right fit for our program, and let's get you moving forward. Because there are a lot of people that can go ahead and make this transition on their own, but even more people that will simply never even take the first step. This is equivalent to you buying a workout DVD or training program and not making it to the gym and not staying disciplined on your diet. Meanwhile, somebody else that actually locks in can do it. If you could have done it by now, you would have actually done it by now. Okay, to work with the program at $2,500 to help you make this transition is more than reasonable. In addition, we have a whole pre-work course to make sure that you have all of the foundational fundamentals in place before officially even starting you on a cohort. This way, we ensure the highest level of success for you in our program. All right, so now I basically have my 3 blogs, and the next thing I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and go back into my Claude. I'm going to say the following. I need your help to draft up a prompt to help me convert 3 voice prompt recordings and transcriptions into extremely conversion-friendly SEO and GEO blogs for the website. The 3 blogs that I have actually voice prompted today is, the first one is how to transition to cybersecurity with 0 experience in 2026. The second blog is the CompTIA Security Plus certification enough to land a job in 2026? And the third blog is, are cybersecurity boot camps even worth it anymore in 2026? We want the reader to feel inspired, excited, and urgent to schedule a call to enroll with us. At the same time, we want to empathize with them, that we understand that they're extremely skeptical, that they're extremely nervous. They may be extremely overwhelmed by the number of different boot camps they can choose from, the number of certifications that they don't even know where to start or which one they should take in order to pass. And also, like, just the overall imposter syndrome that they're feeling in making this transition. We want them to feel that there is a major opportunity to making a transition in cybersecurity. And on top of that, there is a very legitimate need to have these roles filled. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pop each and every one of these guys into my Claude, and then we're going to go ahead and actually make some blogs off of it. There's a few secret touches that I add to the end to make sure that we're going to make these blogs very conversion friendly, but we're going to start getting it up on our website. This is essentially like in 40 minutes, I just got 3 blogs done. It's not bad, because back in the days, it probably would have taken me 2 hours to get one blog done, really locked in. And it would take a lot out of me. But now I just have to go out there and actually voice prompt it, and I'm good to go. So actually, yeah, that's what I have for today.